Good morning guys, and welcome back to Damo Drives. Now in the previous video I talked about terrible buying decisions with cars, because I think I've possibly got the worst garage of any car YouTuber out there. But I'd like to know, what are your worst cars you've ever owned? Or maybe it's a good car that's gone horribly wrong. So I want to have a quick chat with you about some of my terrible buying decisions that I've made. Put it like this, the Ford Scorpio is one of the cars that appears in my list, and that's not the worst one. So when I first passed my test, I was given a Peugeot 106 1.1 XN, and I loved that car. It was brilliant. It really was a good little car. You could really push it quite hard and not be going anywhere near the speed limit. You'll be lucky if you got to the speed limit, unless you're in a 30 mile an hour. But I really like that car. I had that for a few years. Now, a bit later on, I think it was like 3 or 4 years, I got married and we had a baby, and I needed a car that was a bit more practical, because yeah, picking up a little one in a car seat in a Peugeot 106 is very, very impractical, especially when you start putting a buggy in and things like that. So I bought something a bit cheap and cheerful. So I bought a, I don't remember what it was. Ah, it was a Vectra. I bought a Vectra, and that wasn't a bad car. It wasn't a great car. It was a 1.8 GLS. So we had that, and I needed to do some work on it. Well, say my brother-in-law needed to do some work on it. I'm not exactly mechanically minded like that, unfortunately. So we're in the garage. Need to get one of the head bolts off. Oh, my dog's stuck. Oh, he can't get this way. Can you go back that way, boy? Let's go that way. Come on. Oh, come on, fella. Can't go that way. He's too little. He's got himself a bit stuck. So yeah, I was trying to do some work on the car, and the head bolt wouldn't come off. So we had a breaker bar. It's only a small one though. Put that on, and we were both pulling. It wouldn't come off. It's like, right, we need more leverage. So we had a scaffold pole. We attached that. Both pulling on that. That still wouldn't come off. So we needed even more. I was like, what do we do? It's like the only thing we could see was a garden fork. So you've got a breaker bar with a scaffold pole, and now a garden fork. And this didn't end well at all. So there we are, we're both pulling on the breaker bar, or the man-made breaker bar, hanging off of it basically, and you can imagine the amount of torque going through that thing was a lot. And it snapped. Not the breaker bar snapped, the actual head bolt snapped off inside. And the problem with that was, you've got two fully grown blokes pulling on this bar, and the fork flew across the garage, nearly impaled itself in the wall. Very luckily no one else wasn't. What's my dog got? Why is he collecting grass? So yeah, that wasn't good. So now we've got a bolt that snapped off in there, and I thought, well, a few things needed doing, so I think we'll get rid of that and go and buy something else. And I went to a car auction. This is my first experience at a car auction, and this is where the Ford Scorpio reared its head. And why, it is one of the worst looking cars I have ever had. In fact, I can't think of many other cars that are quite so ugly as the Ford Scorpio. But it works. I was doing a very, very long commute every day. It's like 150, 160 miles a day. It was practical, comfortable. Stick the cruise control on, you had like seats that were like armchairs in there. And that was quite pleasant. But then there was a weird knocking noise coming from underneath. It's like, oh God, what on earth's this? And there was a hole in the radiator, so it was like, oh, that's the reason it was in the auction. boy. Yeah, I went to my local independent dealer, and this was the ugliest car, the most embarrassing car I've ever been in. Again, it was practical. It was something called a Hyundai Atos. Can you imagine Postman Pat's van with windows and back seats? It was in a horrible grey colour. It had, oh, shocking steel wheels, were like 12-inch steel wheels, and I was driving around in that I was 20, 21, and oh, that was bad. That really was quite terrible and quite embarrassing, but it did the job. So I got rid of that. I wanted something else that wasn't quite so embarrassing and not quite so boring. Quite so boring anyway. Well, I bought from I think it was like the Loot or Auto Trader, one of those classified companies. There was a place in Essex, someone was selling their car, and it was a Rover 200 TDI. Yes, I know I said boring, but it was actually a pretty good car, and I enjoyed that. It was really reliable, no bells or whistles really, it just did exactly what it said on the tin. So part of the way through the ownership of that, someone I knew wanted a website doing, and I said, right, I'll do your website. In exchange, they tuned my little car. They owned a remapping company, so they tuned my TDI, put a new ECU and etc in there, and that was great. I mean, we went from like 90 brake to 140 etc for not a lot of money. So I really enjoyed that car. Looked average, but it performed well, really good fuel consumption. So I was very happy with that car, and I wouldn't have got rid of it until I was driving down my local high street, minding my own business, and all of a sudden, an almighty big whack in the passenger door. I was pushed right across the other side of the road. Okay, come on. Yeah, pushed right across the other side of the road, and a white van had decided it wanted to park itself in the side of my car. So I got out, I was a bit shaken up, I wasn't hurt or anything, it was just more the surprise of seeing a white van there. And the guy apologised. It's difficult really not to apologise in that situation, and he admitted it was his fault, and he said, I thought you were going quicker than you were, and by the time I'd pulled out I thought you would be gone. I went to a car garage up in Epsom, had a look at it was a Ford Fiesta, about 1.25, probably a Z-Tech I think it was. So I got there, very excited, looks in good condition, turned the engine on, and the engine warning lights on. Now really, with my history, I should have learnt that I should have just walked away really, shouldn't I? That would have made the most sense. But salesman said, oh no, don't worry, we're going to give it a full service while you wait. We're looking at that, it's a known thing, but it's just resetting it. So okay, I was a little bit put off, but I needed a car. So got there first thing in the morning, waited till about lunchtime, asked what was going on. So that's nearly done, don't worry. Okay, so it got to around 1. Is it done? Bit longer, so I waited another half an hour. Right, it was done. So I thought, thank goodness for that. He goes, oh, we need to get you some tax though, we need to get you some road tax. So they went to the local post office, well, their salesman did, to get me some tax. So this was around 1:30. It's like, oh, got a while. I asked how long it was going to be. He said, oh, no more than an hour. Okay, so I gave it just over an hour, just sort of inquiring what was happening. Has he got it yet? It's like, oh no, another half an hour. Okay, so I gave them an hour because I knew they were quite busy. Come on, okay. Come on. So yeah, I knew they were quite busy. So waited. How long? Oh, he got there and they were closed.
Many hours later.
I gave it right to the end of the day, which is another 2.5 hours. Right, has he got the road tax yet? Oh no, there was a problem. Oh great, thank you very much. But they said, tell you what, I'll take the car and we'll just give you whatever it was for the tax for the year. Okay, that's fine. So I headed off from Epsom to where I live, so it's about an hour and a half's drive. Mile down the road, it's like, oh, this is alright. And the engine warning light comes on. It's now gone into limp home mode. I'm not that far from the garage, so I ring them up and they've closed. Bugger, what am I supposed to do now? So I was stuck at 30 mile an hour all the way home. Got home cursing a bit, as to be expected. Okay, come on. Yeah, so rang them up the next morning. Right, it's an engine fault. Can you come and sort this out? Why don't you drive it back to us? Like, hang on, it took me like nearly 4 hours to get home. I'm not driving my car with an engine fault that tells me not to drive it. Okay, we'll send out a recovery truck. When's that going to be? A couple of days. So, oh no, here we go. I knew what their timekeeping was like. So I waited a couple of days. Anything? Nope. Ring them. Where's that truck? Oh, we've got a problem with the truck. It'll be next week. Next week turned into the week after, to the week after. And I got a month in and I was thoroughly disappointed, to say the least. So I took it to my local garage, asked them to have a look at it because I just couldn't wait. And they said, oh yeah, get them to look at it and we'll pay for the work. Fair enough. So I took it there and they gave me a ring. So we've had a look, and this is where the car mechanic in me comes out, because I've no idea what it's called. The holes where the spark plugs go, those things, they were completely full of water. It's like, that's not good, is it? So they replaced those. There was a load of other things. This way, boy, come on, come on. So they replaced that. It cost me a good few £100 to get that sorted. Then something else cracked. What's Rocco doing? Come on, I'm trying to talk to everyone, boy, come on. So yeah, that was not good. And they said as a gesture, because they didn't fix it and I took it somewhere else to have it fixed, they'd give me £100. I think to fix it was like £400 or £500. I mean, and I was really not happy. I thought, you told me to take it there. So yeah, I thought that was fixed. Carried on. Oh, got another dog turn up. Come on, okay. Okay, come on. So, okay. Okay. Come on. So, yeah, I had it and I thought, right, maybe we've got over this technical glitch now. And yeah, it was only about another 2 or 3 months in. The temperature gauge shot up. There was no hot air coming out, and it was like, I recognise that. Had a look, wait till the engine cooled down, and it was full of the lovely mayonnaise inside the radiator, or the oil cap, and the head gasket had completely gone, completely killed the car. And it was yeah, so I was absolutely stuffed. I tried to get my money back off of the company that sold me the car. They weren't willing to do it. Tried to take it to court. It was a complete and utter mess. So then what happened? I went to another garage and I decided I was going to get something more fun. And it was fun. I bought a Renault Clio 172 Sport, and I love that car. Anyone who's, come on, okay, come on. Anyone who's owned one of those, yeah, anyone who's owned one of those cars or driven one knows how good they are to drive. They are amazing. They're such fun, good amount of power, very lightweight, great handling. Come on, okay. My dog wants to talk to every other dog. What's he doing? Okay, come on. So as I was saying, yeah, great handling, great car, absolutely loved it. I got about a year into ownership without anything going wrong with that. I was thoroughly surprised. So I was heading up to the Birmingham NEC for one of the car shows up there. Again, that is a long old drive for me. It's about 3 hours each way. It was January, so it was snowing. It was like -6, and the air conditioning packed up. Well, the air conditioning unit, and unfortunately that then means it's not like it just won't put any hot or cold air. It won't have any air out of it at all. So my windows are now steaming up. It's -6, so I have to open the windows. So both my windows are now open. -6 going along the motorway for probably 7 hours a day, and I was freezing. I've never been that cold before. It was ridiculous. I made it. I think I had a sleeping bag around my lap at one point, several hats, numerous jumpers, but luckily the windows weren't steaming up, so it's still safe to drive. It's just bloody freezing. So I finished that off and I thought I need to get this fixed. Got round to the summer and I went to, where was I going then? It was Festival of Speed. Come on, okay. So I went off to Festival of Speed. I think on the first day there was a weird noise coming from under the car. Very, very it's like a grumbly. It's like, oh no, what's that? Okay, come on. So as I was saying before I decided I was going to fall over there, I was heading off to Goodwood Festival of Speed, and there was a weird exhaust noise. I thought, what on earth's that? It was like quite a grumbling type of noise. Oh dear, that doesn't sound good. So I got to Goodwood, it got louder and louder. Got home again, it was like, this is ridiculous, what is that noise? Had a look under the car and the exhaust had snapped off pretty much near the manifold. There was, I think, about a foot of exhaust between the front of the car backwards, and that was it. So it was like I still needed to keep going to Goodwood, didn't have any time to fix it, so it was like, right, a bit of DIY required here. So I just took it off. Well, it fell off as opposed to anything else. So now I have a car with no no exhaust, and it was loud. I mean, uncomfortably loud. It was outrageous. It really hurt my ears. You got a headache. It sounded, oh, I don't know what people thought of it. Saw this car coming along and it was like, oh my god. So that was interesting. And it's like, right, I need a new exhaust. Let's change the brightness of the, it's getting really dark now. So I needed a new exhaust. Had a look at that. And that was including a cat as well. So it's a full exhaust. So that was going to cost me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. At that point, also found out the Clio needed a service. It needed a new cam belt. If anyone has had one of these cars, they'll know how much that costs. It was around £700 to have the cam belt replaced, because it was around an 8-hour book job, because I have to take the whole engine out. It's a complete nightmare, absolute nightmare. So now all of a sudden it's a whole new exhaust, a full service, a cam belt. Then what happened? Oh yes, this was great. Then the shocks went on it, going over a bridge, and it decided it was going to pogo down the road. I was like, oh my god. So now we've got most of the car being replaced. Went to have a look at the bonnet or the engine, popped it up. Well, it didn't pop up. The cable then snapped, so now the bonnet was shut down. Everything had gone horribly wrong, and I thought, no, that's it. Okay, so in that stick. So I thought, right, that's it. Get rid of, and I knew someone who was selling their car. They were a bit of a sort of an amateur mechanic, so he was willing to take that car off of my hands. And I got the car I'm in now, which is a Ford Fiesta 1.6 TDCi Z-Tech S, and that's been really good so far. There are some things that are starting to go wrong with it. In fact, there was one massive thing. How can I forget this? Because it's only recently happened. So I was coming up to a junction, T-junction, I put my foot on the brake and nothing happened. And I don't know if you've had the unfortunate scenario of that happening, but it's pretty scary. No brakes whatsoever coming up to a main road. Luckily there was nothing on that road, and I carried on going and eventually came to a stop using the gears and handbrake. So luckily nothing there. But when I took it to the garage, it was like, what happened? I said, obviously the brakes failed, and it was a strange scenario that the front, I think the front left spring had actually sheared after hitting a pothole. That had then sprung out, gone through all the brake lines and the brake pump. So then, I've got no brakes at all, no fluid, and that is what happened. So they went to fix that. So I needed to replace the spring, the upright. There was loads of things, and I thought I'd check the other side, and the other one had cracked, and I couldn't get the upright off, so I had to cut it off. Oh, that was a complete and utter disaster. But now I'm hoping that car is going to work for the long time. I don't really want to have to replace it. I'm very scared about buying another car. I dread to think what would happen. So there you go, guys, that's my terrible car history. Some good cars in that list, not many though, to be honest. Just been very, very unfortunate, or naive, or just mugged off in general. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this dog walk and talking about rubbish cars. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Comments are always welcome, and remember to click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.